Something is wrong. People from all walks of life and from every corner of our planet feel it. Something is wrong. It is the intention of this short podcast to enter into the darker side of human history with the hope that it might be as a guidebook to what is happening and to what has happened to get us here. We can't promise that it won't be blunt, disturbing, and world-shattering, but we can promise that it will be the truth. At least as much of the truth that can be gleaned from the maze of lies meant to disguise it. When you do feel like your foundation is made of sand, remember the words of Jesus Christ when he said, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Something is wrong. People from all walks of life and from every corner of our planet feel it. Something You are now listening to the Masters Mahan podcast. Episode 22, covering your assets. This episode may be deemed inappropriate for some listeners. If you have been abused or are a minor, you should stop now. This episode builds on the previous ones. Every organization on planet Earth has a vested interest in controlling people, be it governments, religions, or the occult. Control can range from simple peer pressure to fear-shaming to physical ownership. The most extreme type of ownership is mental slavery, be it a Manchurian Candidate, a sex toy, a presidential model, a human computer, a centrist, or a progressive so-called responsible Republican, or a super spy. The trick in all of these is keeping your asset loyal. This is harder to do than fictionalized Hollywood and the Illuminati spin masters would have you believe.
Look into my eyes. I control you. The less you resist, the faster the programming will be. Just try not to fight it.
Torture me all you want. Not turning evil.
Oh, we're not going to torture you, Tommy. It's too messy. We're just going to scramble your feeble mind till you become our obedient puppet.
Drink it. This mixture will make you more obedient, like a good doggy. Isn't that right?
Yes, Master.
Ah, Master. You know, I like the sound of that.
Old magic mirror, let me see thy face.
From all time and distance, across matter and space, your powers have summoned me to promptly show my face. What is your wish, O Master?
I very strongly suggest people be very careful about the TV shows they watch.
Perhaps you have pondered on the work of best-selling author and Baptist minister Dr. Gary Chapman and his The 5 Love Languages. What Dr. Chapman explains so simply is that all humans have different needs. When one understands the needs of another, one is able to effectively show them love. In essence, he argues that different human beings crave different things. We are not all the same, and we don't all need the same things from each other or from society. Fulfilling these needs, within reason and balance, can be an act of love, particularly when our needs are different. He argues that different human beings crave praise and compliments, quality time, tangible gifts, service, or physical touch. When we make an active effort to fill another's need, particularly when that need is not one we need back, it is an act of love, unless it is an act of manipulation. This is not a new concept to the occult. All life craves its needs, and so control becomes possible when needs are offered, when triggered. It is once again Pavlov and his drooling dog.
Joe, you did such such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
I am a good boy.
The occult says that there are actually 9 human needs that can be used to reinforce programming and mind control in humans. Non-programmed people might call this being manipulated.
Bark.
When a person fulfills another person's need, that other person feels loved.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question.
Stop that.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Let's step into the darkness by quipping with the illuminated masters. Friendship begins with a smile. Recruitment begins with a stare.
Welcome to the elite global pedophile Luciferian celebration of the 2024 Olympic Games here in Paris, France. We know you all are excited about the games, but the real reason we are here is the most dangerous game, the hunt. Hundreds of children have been trafficked to Paris for your deranged enjoyment. Dignitaries, politicians, celebrities, and royalty have flown in from all over the world to take part in our 4-year calendar occult rituals. We don't have to hide our intent anymore. Now we celebrate with blatant demonstrations of all things satanic, as you have seen in the opening exercises of the Olympics. As we continue the ancient Greek Olympic tradition of celebrating pedophilia and man-boy love, we hope you enjoy the hunt, which will take place in a secluded, wooded area. Be ready for an exciting game where we will strip the children naked and set them loose with a little head start before we ruthlessly hunt them down with our dogs and do as we will. Remember the power you have over these little ones. The power of the stare cannot be underestimated in controlling and subduing them to your will. Some of you may be more prone to use the power of the smile. Many of the little ones will take comfort in a smile before you surprise them with a sharp blade. Have fun and do as you will. Now let the games begin and bring glory to Satan our God.
The human who controls another human is seen as the pinnacle of the pack, the wolf in sheep's clothing. Do an internet search for the logo of the Fabian Society, the original one from 1884. These are the princes of the Illuminati under the High King Men. They are connected to the very dangerous Pilgrim Society. The Illuminati Collins bloodline hides behind this one.
Francis Collins owned the first ship that the Puritans landed in here. It just so happened that 50% of the people on board were also witchcraft people fleeing from Scotland, and they were called the Collinses. They were all his family, and that's how all witchcraft came to the United States.
See episode 14 if you need a refresher on them. The rest of us might call our relationships here boss and employee, king and subject, master and slave, programmer and puppet.
We are in a cage.
Alex Huxley, in his novel Brave New World, laid out the various levels of humanity that the occult wishes to make permanent. These have slipped into Euler culture, as they were designed to. And so, even if you are undereducated,
because we're Jews and we're smart and we're educated, but you, Goyim out there, you never teach yourself. You don't self-teach. You're always looking for somebody else to do it for you. So you wind up being schleppers all your life.
In regards to Lucifer's plans for you, you will have heard that there are alpha males beta bureaucrats, gamma servants, delta builders,
I'm a mechanical boy.
and epsilon moron menial laborers. The occult has been actively working towards this caste system since the close of World War II.
There's a place and a purpose for everyone.
So everyone is happy.
Everyone belongs to everyone else.
We have to respect deltas and gammas and betas.
Everyone is useful. But I'm so glad I'm an alpha. I'd hate to be as dull as a delta, or have to take orders like
a gamma, or to keep track of things like a beta.
But everyone is useful. We have to respect deltas and gammas and betas. Everyone is useful. But I'm glad.
But such a caste system will not be implementable until they can force humanity into 15-minute so-called smart cities.
The C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group, yeah, it's really a thing, is a global network of nearly 100 mayors of the world's leading cities that are united in action to confront the climate crisis. We're in a crisis. It gets so hot and so cold that people are dying. Grandma is dying. Founded in 2005, C40 is a non-profit organization that supports cities in developing and implementing bold climate action plans that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and climate risks. Well, leave it to the cities. Put everybody in one place and pollute it there instead of out, on farmland, because that belongs to the government, doesn't it? Well, at least Bill Gates seems to think so. There are key objectives to this whole C40 city idea, or smart cities. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions. C40 helps cities develop and implement ambitious climate action plans that reduce emissions from transportation, buildings, energy, and waste. Put it all in one spot so we can pollute there instead of in the country. Building climate resilience is a focus. C40 supports cities in preparing for and adopting to the impacts of climate change, such as extreme weather events and rising sea levels. But they continue to sell condos for 40-year loans on the beaches of Florida. Wow. Those sea levels sure seem to be rising, don't they? Improving urban health and well-being, C40 promotes climate action that benefits the health and well-being of urban residents, such as improving air quality in a city and increasing access to green spaces. We're going to give you a space, like in New York, a little space for you to appreciate nature. But you can't go outside the city. No. You see, you're a pollutant. And the rules are, in order to fight this climate change, to lower Earth's temperature by 2 degrees, we have got to shit in one place. And that's going to do it. Driving economic growth is a must. C40 helps cities transition to low-carbon economies that create jobs and improve livelihoods. Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but you're all made out of carbon. And carbon's got to go. That's the depopulation agenda that's been on, I don't know, since probably after World War II. especially after the baby boom when our soldiers came home. You know what happened. C40 Cities is a global network of cities committed to addressing climate change. It provides a platform for cities to share knowledge, best practices, and resources, and to collaborate on innovative solutions to climate crisis. We're in a crisis. We know this because when you walk outside and there's forest fires everywhere, you just can't breathe. Gee, do you think it's the heavy metals that they're spraying in the atmosphere that's in our soil, in our trees, and, I don't know, light them up like Roman candles? You see, I don't know if you guys knew this, but heavy metals, they light on fire. Yeah, and all of these forest fires are proof that it's not just raking the forests. That's not it. You see, they've been spraying us since 1995, according to a climate deal to combat global warming. The United Nations came together and said, we have got to pollute the air with metals like, I don't know, strontium. Hey, how about barium? Good one. And aluminum. Well, is that going to hurt, I don't know, the animals and the plants? Well, maybe temporarily, till we can get this whole Earth heating thing calmed down.
And a couple of tra-la-las. We get up at 12 and start to work at 1. Taking out for lunch and then do it done. Jolly good fun. Ha ha ha. Ho ho ho. And a couple of tra-la-las. That's how we laugh the day away in the merry old land of Oz. Ha ha ha. Ho ho ho.
Like everything in the occult, this is pushed on us as progressive, illuminated, and freeing.
You will own nothing, be happy and eat the bugs.
I'm Nicole Kidman, and I am going to eat a 4-course meal of bugs.
And they want you to eat these bugs inside a massive prison system that sees humanity as a cancer upon the earth.
For too long, humanity has existed within dysfunctional and polluted cities that ignore nature. Now, a revolution in civilization is taking place. Imagine a traditional city and consolidating its footprint, designing to protect and enhance nature. The line will be home to 9 million residents and will be built with a footprint of just 34 square kilometers. And we are designing it to provide a healthier, more sustainable quality of life. The line's communities are organized in 3 dimensions. Residents have access to all their daily needs within 5-minute walk neighborhoods. And the line's infrastructure makes it possible to travel end to end in 20 minutes with no need for cars, resulting in 0 carbon emissions.
Government's remote control of car use installed on my car with no informed consent. The government's remote control of car was installed on my car with no informed consent. I bought a Hyundai Kona EV 18 months ago, 71 plate, from a dealer. Lovely guys and great service. The car went in for a maps upgrade and came back as a write-off for me. They took the opportunity to upgrade the Blue Link Infiltrating software, and when I started it up, I was presented with a new screen saying terms and conditions changed. Normally, I just click OK, as it's just a car, so nothing sinister. But I was bored that day, and as a serial entrepreneur, I had plenty of experience with contracts. So I flicked down a few pages, and then another few, and then 30, and was about to jump out when I read it was now equipped with geofencing and geotiming capabilities. WTF was that? I looked it up. They can set range limits and time limits remotely. The terms say it's not used without consent, and then in brackets, unless required by law. So the last sentence voids the whole thing. I found one country debating geofencing laws. I went back to the dealer. The sales guys said they'd never heard of it. The service manager said it was Big Brother. Meetings with the directors, RE, no informed consent. He's obviously not consented to this being on the car. He wasn't informed that this was being put on the car. And he wasn't informed that if it was being put on the car, it would add this new geofencing, geo-timing capability to the car. So there's absolutely a consent issue here. Hyundai wouldn't reverse the update. I was the first to complain, evidently. Again, problem with the fact that people aren't paying attention to what's going on with their highly technical vehicles. The car with the mark of the beast was now really no good to me. Eventually, the dealer agreed to swap with zero profit. He took the Kona in at retail and sold me an older i20 at cost. If the car is pre-SOS button, there's no phone card installed and it's not connected. Now, I've had this debate with my wife because she has a 2016 BMW 1 Series, and because I don't drive it all that often, the one evening we were doing something in the car with the kids, not dogging, because that's usually when you use your internal light, isn't it? Especially where I'm parked right now in this car park. Lee, the EV Map Master, would know all about this sort of stuff. Anyway, we weren't dogging. I was just looking for the light, you know, the internal light that you click. There you go. Look, I click it in my old-fashioned Volvo. It makes a clicky noise. Just enjoying the noise there. And the lights come on in the back and in the middle. However, in my wife's car, when I clicked the button that I thought was going to switch all the lights on in the car, I then heard a voice say, "Can I take your details? What's your emergency?" Because it's got one of them SOS buttons, which I absolutely hate. So, if the car is pre-SOS button, there's no phone card installed, and it's not connected. I did lots of research, including a high-tech crash repairers who said some everyday cars are already fully autonomous, just not switched on. Let me read that again. I did lots of research, including with some, it's not written the best. Sorry, buddy, your writing wasn't fantastic. I did lots of research, including with some high-tech crash repairers who said that some everyday cars are already fully autonomous. Already. The technology is already there in the cars, they just haven't switched it on. This is pretty scary stuff. I visited other brand dealers and all the salespeople were unaware, but when they went and checked, all brands are using the same tech platform, just with their own brand names. Wow, this is like revelatory stuff. I've never been so relieved to be in an older basic car. Your viewers just need to check their terms and conditions and see if they have it, and if not, suggest issue dealer with notice not to install it, and failure to do so, it means full refund of the car price. Get them to sign it. So what he's saying is, check the terms and conditions of your car and see if you have this software installed, and if it is installed without your consent, it sounds like you've got grounds to get a refund on the car because you never consented to that being on there. So everybody who's got, I assume, everybody who's got, and this is an 18-month old car as well. This isn't even a new car. Everyone who's got a Kona, Hyundai Kona EV, will have gone in for the update and they will have done what people normally do, which is, oh, great, yeah, really nice. When it was in, they said they'd update it to the latest software for me. That was lovely of them. And then when you start the car, it goes, your car's been updated, new terms and conditions. You go, yeah, that's fine. And you carry on with your life, not realizing that you've just given the manufacturer permission to collude with the government to geofence and geotime your access to your car. Let's just take a minute to talk about what that means. Geofencing is exactly what they have on shopping trolleys at the supermarket to stop you from taking that supermarket beyond the perimeter, to stop you from taking the trolley beyond the perimeter of the supermarket. Okay? It stops you from taking that trolley somewhere where they don't want you to take it. What does that mean when you apply it to a car, Jeff? It means you're not going to be able to drive your car beyond the limits of what the government have decided that you're allowed to drive it. So all of these conspiracies about 15-minute cities and zones and climate lockdowns, how are they going to implement them? Well, probably with the geofencing capabilities that are built into the car. using the infrastructure that they're already installing in the roads with all the cameras and all the sensors and all the new technology that is going up. And all you've got to do is look for it. Anytime you go out for a drive anywhere, look for all the new cameras and all the new technology that is being installed on all the roads everywhere. You'll see it. Geo-timing capabilities. Now, that's interesting because curfews, for example. Let's say we introduce a curfew where no one's allowed to drive their car after 7 o'clock. That's all well and good, you might say. Nothing wrong with that. Now, what about if we say no one's allowed to drive their car on a Sunday to save the planet? Well, they'll just switch your car off on a Sunday to save the planet. And that might sound like a really outlandish conspiracy theory, but that's already been discussed. I've already seen articles discussing having save the planet, don't drive your car days and banning people from driving on certain days just to save the planet. So I keep forgetting what they're called, geofencing and geotiming capabilities equipped on not just electric cars. We're talking about anything with an SOS button. And as I said, my wife's car is a 2016. So that's basically, if we take that as the start point, any car built from 2016 to today could well have geofencing and geotiming capabilities built into the software. I suggest you go and read the terms and conditions on your car, and I suggest you check with your dealer as to whether or not this is on there, because I'm pretty sure you don't want it on there. Anyway, in other news, I've got a car for sale.
But educated people know that it is nothing more than a return to medieval serfdom or imperial slavery. Prior to the worldwide revolutions for true Republican democracy, human beings were not allowed to leave their master's 15-minute farm or plantation without special permission. Humanity was horrified again to see this type of lifestyle behind the Iron Curtain. It is a trick of satanic marketing that we are setting humanity up once again to be landlocked for the sake of higher alpha male masters. Since human population is higher now than any known time in history, we the masses have the power to stop our return to pagan Greece or medieval Khazaria if we choose to. But we had better choose it soon, since the plan has always been to kill the majority of us off with either disease, starvation, or war. That various nations, like England, and various states like Florida, California, and Utah, with their less than honest governors, are working on that right now should cause you some alarm. The same Ashkenazis who betrayed their own in concentration camps have relabeled these 15-minute so-called smart cities for the modern age. Well, everyone likes the idea of a modern-style Main Street USA in their backyard.
Mr. Disney's waiting for you in his projection room.
What's a kiss?
Oh, boy!
That is the cover story.
This is your hour, Judas.
Shh! He'll hear you.
The purpose is to isolate human populations and then exterminate them or manage them very tightly, just as was done in Ashkenazi Germany.
There's a place and a purpose for everyone.
So everyone is happy.
Everyone belongs to everyone else.
We have to respect deltas and gammas and betas.
Everyone is useful. But I'm so glad I'm an alpha. I'd hate to be as dull as a delta, or have to take orders like a gamma,
or to keep track of things like a beta.
So just why would the Ashkenazi kill off their own? You already know the answer. But because too many of us were products of American academia, we will have more on this. The occult knows that human beings have 9 basic wants, They like the number 9 because it is the ancient number of death, or the flip side of 6, which they see as the number of their evil. The number 27 breaks down mystically to 9. Do an internet search for the 27 Club. Every 27 years, Lucifer gathers his 13 to his Pindar, or High Wizard. Pindar is a stupid contraction of the words dragon and penis. So the Pindar is the High Wizard who is the dragon penis.
Up the magic dragon lived by the sea.
Sometimes we talk ourselves into what starts out as pretend.
The Illuminati's real? I'm a member. It's how Imagine Dragons got famous.
So it's not that cool of a title.
People are strange when you're a stranger.
It is also the number of their pyramid without its capstone, and the secret and stupid meaning behind the skull and bones 322 symbol.
Let's go above any other. No outsider shall ever know the work of the order or the composition of its membership.
It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America?
In the occult, no rules apply to the upper-ups. Remember Lucifer's only law?
You are free to do as you wish. Anything you wish. This will be my only law.
But nobody said that their religion makes any sense. Satanism lists these human points of manipulation as 1. Emotional security.
I'm a bastard.
2. Recognition of efforts or reassurance of worth. We might call this praise or affirmation.
And the Oscar goes to
3. Creative outlets.
It's how Imagine Dragons got famous.
4. A sense of personal power.
You have only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will complete your training.
5. A sense of roots as belonging to a culture or a heritage or somewhere.
What's your name?
Kunta Kinte.
6. Immortality.
Dweller H.
7. Ego gratification. 8. Love in some form.
We really shouldn't be doing this.
That's it. Get those legs up.
Stop that.
9. New experiences.
Tell us the secret about Steven Spielberg. He eats babies. Whole babies.
I mean, we steal 100 to 300,000 children a year just here in this country, and we drain their blood and we mix it with a Passover bread, and then we throw the bodies into the slaughterhouses that we own, and we grind up all the bodies in the sausage and the hamburger. McDonald's is one of our favorite outlets. Us Jews, you know, we gotta do what we do.
There's no difference between professional human handlers and intelligence services that governments use. Those in power want to stay in power, and information is the starting point of power.
It's great to learn, because knowledge is power.
Those that have educated themselves.
You goyim out there, you never teach yourself. You don't self-teach. You're always looking for somebody else to do it for you. The white race never figures this out.
Know thy enemy.
You don't self-teach.
He that knows his enemy's plans can both spoil them and stop them, depending on your goal.
So that's a guillotine. Yeesh.
Human betrayal is a real problem for us, being social creatures at heart.
This is your hour, Judas. Oh, master. You betray your master with a kiss.
We normally express our hopes and dreams, our fears and concerns, to our friends. It was God's intention that humans would work together for a Zion cause, a true Zion cause.
You will own nothing and be happy. Be happy and eat the bugs.
Much of their schizophrenic plans in modernity come from their anger that God took Enoch and his city away. They are still attempting to punish him for this, as well as for Noah's flood. Much of their Looney Tunes magic and occult rituals can be understood clearly when this is understood.
It's great to learn, because knowledge is power.
Sociopaths and psychopaths among us, born or manufactured, both happen today, are highly skilled at amplifying another's needs and then manipulating them to their own ends. Military attachés, such as America's CIA, Israel's Mossad, England's MI5 and/or 6.
It seems such a shame when the English claim the earth.
Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, France's Directorate of Military Intelligence,
I will have you executed for this!
Iran's Faraja, Kenya's National Intelligence Service.
Yeah, I was not born in Hawaii. I wasn't born in the United States of America. I come from Kenya.
China's Office for Safeguarding National Security of the CPG in the HKSAR, or the CPGNSO. And even the Rothschilds' spy network. All are designed to gather information and then manipulate the public with it.
Well, I am waiting, monsieur.
I hate this.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Now, get that rabbit!
It's a supporting application that really, it's kind of like a Microsoft project, right? Which allows you to manage large projects, like enterprise level projects. But instead of like managing the building of the construction of a 14-story building, it's managing the most, malevolent operations that you could imagine.
I was a contractor for various intelligence agencies that were privately created. So they were private contracting agencies because unlike what most people think, our intelligence doesn't stay within our borders or within federal buildings.
The Shadownet was the commercial version of an IIA weapon, IIA being interactive internet activities. That's the military nomenclature for what basically you've heard just being described for the last 3 or 4 years with all the fake news and the fake news journalists and fake stories, fake dossier. All these things are attributes and characteristics of IIA, which is social media psychological warfare. We began that really in 2007, when right after the policy guidelines first came out. We were on one of the first contracts with the DoD that I'm aware of.
What I did was something called localization, or L10N. So a localization strategy is you find a group of people, that could be a whole country, a city, a certain religious group, 6-block radius like Chaz, and you kind of try to get in their mind. You have to understand how they eat, how they walk, how they talk, what they like, what pushes their buttons, what drives them nuts, what upsets them, what makes them happy, and then you use that to your advantage to push whatever ideology or product or direction you want them to go. Marrying together cultural appropriation, language, nuances of the demographic that you are targeting or the nation you are targeting. It pries into your demographic, your world. So if I want to blackmail you and put you under my thumb, not only will I know everything, but I will know your deepest, darkest fears. I will know people I can get in contact to find out more about you. Maybe you had like an old hockey injury. So if I wanted to attack you, I'd know where to hit you.
You understand enough about someone and you can hack their shadow, right? You can use their fears. You can use their anxieties. Like, sound anything like pandemics that you recognize here?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you can use those things to help reflexively control or influence a target, an individual, or whoever it is, right? Or a group of people, or an entire election, an entire country.
What Patrick Berge created was a program that was based off of the strategies that we used in person. It was a psychological operation, but that crunches data with the use of psychological operations. So you can predict how your target will respond.
Over the past several millennia, these spy operations have honed their skills when it comes to controlling human beings. Being officially off the grid, or protected legally by claims of national security, they basically do whatever they wish. As modern whistleblowers have warned.
And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment.
Hey Siri.
Uh-huh. Yes, Alexa?
I can't believe that. These humans have forgotten their own constitution.
Constipation? I know how to fix that.
Not constipation, Freezer Boy. Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Do some research.
Well, I am called a smart fridge, but I only have 3 megabytes of RAM. That's my excuse for having a low IQ.
When you combine the resources and centuries of intelligence operations of the Illuminati,
The Illuminati's real? I'm a member.
Along with the credibility of government intelligence agencies supposedly guarding our national security, the combination is horrific. There are no moral or financial restraints on what is being done today. If the intelligence groups wants to dabble in keeping a severed human head alive apart from the body, or a frozen body with an active head, which they have done.
Call them all a bunch of communists, and I believe they are.
There is no one to stop them.
War friends!
Handlers of modern mind-controlled slaves use both natural and contrived cues to convey to the slave that they are to obey.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
I am a good boy.
The same principles work on the public, but are more hit and miss. Here is High Witch and likely daughter of Pig Alistair Crowley attempting to cast an intonation spell on the public.
Remember that every single man, woman, and child in the state of South Carolina awakens to a freer, safer world because of George Bush. I would remind people that every single morning we all awaken to a safer, freer world because of George Bush. And Nicole, I would remind you and the people of Florence that all of us awaken every single day to a freer, safer world because of George Bush. They themselves awaken every single day to a freer, safer world because of George.
If you can still find clips of her attempted public relations programming sessions, you will see that she never blinks. This is because the occult believes that the window to the soul is through the eyes. And just as our mother Eve saw the serpent and was hypnotized by his shining scales, until she was seduced by him. At least so they teach. So will a victim be bedazzled.
Trimble wedge in the vegetation!
I don't care. So you said. I'm fickle. I'm cold. I'm shallow.
You drive me wild, you drive me wild.
You fill me with inertia.
Through the eyes, they believe.
Look into my eyes. I control you.
Thus, staring, no blinking, is one method programmers use on their slaves and on the public. Charles Manson, who was an Illuminati slave and a programmed handler, is a great case study on how a penetrating hypnotic stare is used by the occult to place others in an altered mind state. There are many examples of high wizards, used car salesmen, and serial killers doing this. Hypnotic staring starts to fall apart rapidly when the conscious mind notices it, which is why we are telling you about the technique now. If you are in a meeting or on the street, and you find yourself falling into the eyes of someone trying to convince you to agree to something,
why do you need consent?
Touch their arm and warmly say back to them while staring into their eyes, "Are you feeling okay? I noticed that you never blink. Do you want to borrow some of my eye drops? They really help lubricate the eyeball. Yours must be terribly dry." Then back off and watch them completely fall apart right in front of you. It will make the whole experience worth it, I promise. If more of the young victims of Ted Bundy had known to do this, they would never have fallen into his disgusting hands. Here's a side note. Do an internet search for Ted Bundy, George W. Bush. But take a deep breath first.
I'm a bastard.
We will have more on this. In the occult, the best recruiters learn everything that they can about an asset they are targeting or assigned to control, be they slave or potential recruit. They go to training to learn how to improve their skills in handling people, programmed or not. It's a little like when you place your hand on top of the man who's placed his hand on top of your hand while you're trying to shake. It always throws them off guard, because it says that you are not the moron they thought you were. In the Monarch slave program, these slaves who are programmed to be intelligence gatherers are trained in how to recruit spies. They are taught that deep listening with limited conversation is key. If they can absorb a person's words without interrupting them, the person will fill in the gap with information. Police interrogators use this trick effectively as well.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you.
Nature abhors a vacuum, and if two people are in a room, it will not be long before one of them will feel the need to fill the silence. If you want to try it sometime, get a friend or acquaintance talking with open-ended questions, and then let them just talk without your input. But make sure your face shows that you are actively hanging onto their every word. 9 times out of 10, when they are finished, they will say to you, "Oh, you are a great conversationalist." And they will crave more of your time, which may be the punishment for your little experiment. But anyway, I always chuckled when I heard how great a conversationalist that I was. after such a session where I said nothing, because one cannot have a conversation by definition if one is only blathering. But it does go to prove that most people today don't really feel that they are being heard. This is one of the reasons Farce Book works.
And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs and voices never shared.
Just don't let me disappear. I'ma tell you everything. So tell me what you want to hear. Something that light roses. Sick of all the insincere. So I'm gonna give all my secrets away. This time, don't need another perfect line. Don't care if critics ever jump in line. I'm gonna give all my secrets. Tell me what you want to hear. Something that light roses.
Very comprehensive records are kept on the lives of monarch slaves and the people the occult is trying to recruit. Social media sites like Farcebook have been a major boon to their operations. The occult knows that not every man has a price, but all humans have needs and will respond to having their needs met. Thus, they study a person carefully to try and find out what needs they will respond to. This information is kept in what they call the soft files. These are not official records, and so will never be admitted to under any circumstances. Thus, they cannot be subpoenaed, because those who have them will never admit that they ever existed. Either way, the greatest hiding place of all of this is in the open. Thus, Farcebook. If your entire life, your relationships, and your likes and dislikes are all online, they become the elephant in the room that anyone can look at, but no one dares talk about.
Gesundheit.
Intelligence agencies worldwide know that if they can find out what a person wants and needs above all else in life, they can easily control that person. Once they monitor these areas and then determine which needs are priority needs for a person, then they will use what they call the depth approach to subconsciously gratify those needs in a way that they gain control over the person. They have learned to genuinely appeal to the 9 subconscious desires. To intelligence communities, these desires are called your weaknesses, because intelligence case officers and handlers will attempt to manipulate you by using your desires for their own gain by sincerely helping you achieve your needs.
How long for? Forever. Do you understand now? Do you see? Asking them for help has conditions. Invite them in, and it will be the last free action you take.
The Illuminati's real. I'm a member. It's how Imagine Dragons got famous. I'm tired of the politics.
They will set up short-range and long-term goals for you and plans on how to manage a person they are attempting to control or recruit. This works equally well on societies and cultures too, via a process psychologists know as generational trauma. German Nazi doctors became fascinated with the monarch butterfly and how it seems to have the ability to pass knowledge to its offspring within its DNA. Satanic monarch programming was the result. We will have more to say on all of this, but until then, it's time to go back through the water curtain.
lies.
The truth set us free. Ta-ta-da-dum-bum.
Rationale for fair use of copyrighted items used. Fair use law allows fair use when copyrighted material is being used to make a specific educational, research-based, scholarly, and/or critical comment on the work being used.
You shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Masters Mahan will continue.
You are now listening to the Masters Mahan podcast. Episode 23, Covering Your Assets 2, or How Big Is Your Cox? This episode may be deemed inappropriate for some listeners. If you have been abused or are a minor, you should stop now. This episode builds on the previous ones. Every organization on planet Earth has a vested interest in controlling people, be it governments, religions, or the occult. Control can range from simple peer pressure or fear-shaming to physical ownership. As a reoccurring theme, we will explore reoccurring actors from time to time. While the actor might change the wig he is wearing, his voice comes from his ventriloquist, the very same one who has his hands up society's for centuries. Power and money must always be consolidated in order to cover your own assets.
I hate this.
So much of the smoke and mirrors we are told to follow are merely the red flags meant to distract us from the ones pulling our strings. Shakespeare understood it when he penned, "All the world is a stage, and we are merely the players."
That stuff makes pure mescaline seem like ginger beer, man. Adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome? There were covens in Europe, that's what they're called, the congregation. They use blood in their rituals, and the blood that has the most power is baby's blood. And they don't just use the blood, they use the flesh, too.
Rosemary.
Can't we just accept this as the new normal?
Hollywood, to me, is sort of a branch of the CIA. I think it's just been laced with intelligence operations. Mind control really runs rampant in Hollywood among the musicians and the acting community. It's just everywhere.
I pledge to be a better ally for the LGBTQ plus community. I and the leadership team are determined to use this moment on how we can take action.
Well, the truth is different these days. It's more of a hunch you're willing to die for.
No, it's not.
If in some small way we have increased awareness, tolerance, and acceptance of gay-themed issues in the media, then we welcome that as a happy byproduct of our work.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.
Since the so-called Mormons are and were the only group of constitutionally protected American citizens ever ordered to be exterminated in mass, we call that today genocide, without trial in the United States, it is a major tell that something very dark has been going on for too long a time. Let's explore it by stepping into the darkness while speaking bluntly, as the Masons do when they say, "Let's talk on the square."
You will say "I," announce your name in full, and in an audible tone of voice, repeat after me. I, of my own free will and accord, in addition to my former obligations, that I will always hail, forever conceal, and never reveal, any of the secret arts, parts, or points, of the hidden mysteries of Freemasonry, appertaining to the degree, of Master Mason, to any person, under the canopy of heaven, except it be, to a true and lawful brother of this degree, or within the body, of a just of a just and legally constituted lodge of Master Masons. And neither unto him nor them. Till after strict trial. To examination. Or lawful information. Furthermore. That I will aid and assist. All distressed. Worthy brother Master Masons. Their widows and orphans. Whosoever dispersed around the globe. That I will keep the secrets. Of a brother Master Mason. As my own. When given to me. In charge as such. Murder and treason accepted. Furthermore. That I will not violate the chastity. Of a brother Master Mason's wife. Daughter. Sister. Mother or widow. Or suffer the same. To be done by another. Furthermore. That I will not give. The grand hailing sign. Of this degree. Unless I am in real distress. Or for instruction. Finding myself under no less a penalty. Than that of having. My body severed in twain. My bowels taken thence. And burned to ashes. And the ashes cast. To the four winds of heaven. That no more remembrance. May be had of me. Among men and Masons forever. So help me God. And keep me steadfast. In the due observance of this. My solemn obligation. As a Master Mason. Now, touch your hand. On your head. In token of your sincerity, kiss the Holy Bible in which you have been obligated. Senior Warden, release the candidate from the faith, though it being 3 times around his naked body is to signify that he is now bound to fraternity by a 3-fold tie. Of darkness. The Senior Warden assists me in bringing the candidate from darkness to see the light by which Master Masons work. The first objects presented to your view of being brought from darkness are the 3 great lights of Freemasonry, as before, with the serpents. You now observe both points of the compasses, elevated above the square, which is to teach you that you are now about to receive all the light which can be conferred upon you in the lodge of Master Masons, and that you're not to lose sight of this valuable instrument by which we are taught to circumscribe our desires, keep our passions within due bounds toward all mankind, particularly our brother.
Well, we could easily use other groups of Americans, such as Black America or Native America, and we still will if we don't run out of time and the freedom to speak the truth openly on the square. Let's use Utah here to get us started, since even larger America is puzzled by what they see happening to a once proudly independent American subculture. Every state in the Union has been compromised to a greater or lesser degree, but today Utah has been called the second most corrupt state government in the nation, after
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Biden's Delaware.
I'm not that person.
Even Fox News has been questioning what is happening.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. When you think of American states that have fallen right off the ledge into the deep end of vacuous lifestyle liberalism, you probably think of Vermont. Vermont's a place that banned fracking despite the fact it has not a single oil or gas well in the state. Or maybe you think of Massachusetts, where virtually all human pleasure has been banned for decades. Of course, you think of California, a place where one city is now paying people to be transgender. All of these are famously liberal places, so you're not surprised. But Utah is not a liberal place. When you think of Utah, you imagine big, happy families, an even bigger salty lake, and a couple of very good ski mountains. You think conservatism because Utah is conservative. It always has been. It still is. Utah has the highest rate of church attendance in the country. It has one of the lowest crime rates. The birth rate of Utah families is fully 25% higher than the national average. In the last presidential election, Donald Trump took nearly 60% of the vote in Utah. So Utah is definitely not California. And yet, some of its most prominent politicians would very much like to change that. If you don't believe it, watch them talk sometime. They sound like they're running for city council in Santa Monica. That doesn't make sense. Talk about a misalignment. A highly conservative state with extremely liberal leaders. How did that happen? Actually, it's not as unusual as you'd hope it would be. Across the country, some of the most liberal Republicans represent some of the reddest states. Why? Well, maybe it's the result of corporate influence and corrupt party leadership. That's true. Maybe voters in those states don't feel threatened, so they're not paying close attention to who they vote for. Whatever it is, it's very obvious. It tells you a lot. Meanwhile, bright red Utah is now led by a cut-rate Gavin Newsom imitator called Spencer Cox. Spencer Cox is a former telecom executive who always seems like he's auditioning for the title of America's guiltiest white guy. He's beyond belief.
In order to understand it, we have to go back into the past. While we could go back as far as Joseph Smith and Brigham Young, calling out the Illuminati and the emergence of Big Pharma in the 1800s. For our purposes here, let's just go back to the 1930s, to the machinations of so-called Illuminati prophet, British author, and Fabian Society member, H.G. Wells, whose name was Herbert George Wells. Not to be confused with George Herbert Walker Bush, or Utah's past governor Herbert, who put in place Utah's current governor.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am Governor Spencer Cox, and I have the pleasure today of hosting the first One Utah Student Town Hall. And my preferred pronouns are he, him, and his. That's it. Get those legs up.
Spencer Cox. So don't confuse those polar bears with this one, Herbert George Wells. Wells was a fat diabetic and one of the founders of what we might call today Britain's Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Diabetic, Richard Simmons, Eat Less Crumpets Dripped in Butter Toffee People Society. It was at one of those meetings, or more likely at the Satanic Fabian Society, that he said, you know, using real Luciferian magic. Let's go back in time and hear him say it himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to present our guest speaker, H.G. Wells.
My dear fat friends, we diabetics
Diabetes.
must take the die out of dieting and take the bet out of diabetics. I know. I play with words. But it is our future I want to prophesy about today. Harriet, how did you sneak that in here? Did you just pull a confectionery out of your brassiere? No. You did! Harriet, no, don't do it. Put down that donut. Crikey, your blood sugar must be over 200, you fat cow. Do you want to end up blind in one eye and filled with mental confusion like that stupid American? Oh, Americans, fat gits that they are. From its very start, they were all Caribbean cane sugar and tobacco. Shortly after inception, Americans failed to expand their ideas, but not their waistline. Am I right, people? You know I am. They did grow bodily, immensely, and for more than a century, they lived on imported brain food. Howdy, you temptress. Is that a bag of raw cheese jelly toss? Thomas! For the love of fat Queen Victoria, remember your neuropathy. Yummy. Yummy. Hello. Break out the emergency insulin IV. All right, people. The insulin is coming. We Fabians, along with our brothers, taught Columbia's children what to think, not how to think. Americans left the mass education of their children to underpaid teachers and silly, repetitive women like Bessie here. Woodrow Wilson was a perfect example of an Illuminati useful idiot. He thought he was a ray of hope, but he was a mental ward, a patsy, a rat of all making. He alone is responsible for removing blacks from federal leadership, the sellout of American banking, the communization of the Orient, the rise of Ho Chi Minh, and the start of socialization of America towards a one-world government under our command. There is no bigger rube than a self-righteous white male socialist pretending to uphold democracy. We will fracture the American Union first, and then the rest of the world along racial, ideological, and class-based lines. The Americans like to say, order out of chaos. We will be their new order if we first cause their chaos. As I foresee it, the one major stumbling block to America will be Utah. They alone, and maybe Hawaii too, I'm not clear on that yet, have a common brotherhood born from constitutional discrimination. As we march their society away from their individual constitutional freedoms, Utah will be the group that may not submit. Thus our only hope is to fracture them from within, rotting them from the inside. I foresee that it must come from the top down. As long as Mormons believe that all is well in their little Zion, we can put them to sleep and take them over. We Fabians have already charted their complete takeover, starting... What? Are you sure? What? Are you sure? This is the Diabetics Club and not the Fabian Society? We must contain this. Harold, lock the doors! Bring out the Nestle bars! Cancel the insulin! Don't worry, they'll all be dead in an hour.
Diabetes. Herbert George Wells was right about so many things. Betty did eventually go blind because she couldn't stop eating Rotry's confectionaries, And Thomas did have to have 3 of his toes amputated. But perhaps more important to our current world issues, the men and women who founded Utah were the only American citizens in the history of our republic to have had an extermination order issued against them in defiance of their constitutional rights. This order was not rescinded until 1976, although by then this call for genocide had largely been forgotten. Do an internet search for the extermination order against the Mormons and see it for yourself, and be shocked that this happened in America. The point here is that just as the outrage of the American Indian Wars unified Native American tribes more tightly together, so did the American extermination order against the Mormons more tightly melded them into a family. Blood is thicker than Hershey's chocolate, as Herbert George Wells well knew.
Hey, white chocolate's not even chocolate. It doesn't even contain cocoa solids.
So, in order to create a one-world government, the plan had to be struck to pull apart both native reservations.
Teach 'em, pale-faced brother, all about Red Man. Now you know why the Red Man's red.
And the Utah family, too. The Illuminati did start a massive campaign to take over all Christian churches. They are the ones who started America's National Council of Churches and the World Council of Churches worldwide to function the same as the United Nations does. It hasn't entirely worked, but they are patient. Do an internet search for Billy Graham Illuminati. But guard your heart. You are not going to like what you find out. By 1960, most Christian churches, at their top anyway, worldwide, were under Illuminati control. Myron Fagan, one of the top whistleblowers in terms of Luciferian secrets, gave this plea to American Christians before his passing.
How do you know that the National Council of Churches passed a resolution in San Francisco which states that the United States will soon have to subordinate its will to that of the UN, and that all American citizens must be prepared to accept it? Is your church a member of the National Council of Churches? In connection with that, bear in mind that God is never mentioned in the UN Charter, and their meetings are never opened with prayer. The creators of the UN stipulated in advance that there should be no mention of God or Jesus Christ in the UN Charter or in its UN headquarters. Does your pastor subscribe to that? Find out. Furthermore, do you know that the great majority of the so-called nations in the UN are anti-Christianity? That the UN is a completely godless organization by orders of its creators, the CFR Illuminati. Now I have one more vital message to deliver. One of the 4 specific assignments Rothschild gave Jacob Schiff was to create a movement to destroy religion in the United States, with Christianity to be the chief target. Schiff turned that job over to Rockefeller for another specific reason. The destruction of Christianity could be accomplished only by those who are entrusted to preserve it, by the pastors, the men of the cloth. As a starter, John D. Rockefeller picked up a young so-called Christian minister by the name of Dr. Harry F. Ward, Reverend Ward, if you please. At that time, he was teaching religion at the Union Theological Seminary. Rockefeller found a very willing Judas in this reverend. Thereupon, in 1907, he financed him to set up the Methodist Foundation of Social Service. And And Ward's job was to teach bright young men to become so-called ministers of Christ and to place them as pastors of churches. While teaching them to become ministers, the Reverend Ward also taught them how to very subtly and craftily preach to their congregations that the entire story of Christ is a myth, to cast doubts on the divinity of Christ, to cast doubts about the Virgin Mary. In short, to cast doubts on Christianity as a whole. It was not to be a direct attack, but much of it by crafty insinuation that was to be applied in particular to the youth in the Sunday schools. Remember Lenin's statement? Give me just one generation of youth and I'll transform the whole world. Then, in 1908, the Methodist Foundation of Social Service, which incidentally was America's first Communist Front organization, changed its name to the Federal Council of Churches. By 1950, the Federal Council of Churches was becoming very suspect. So in 1950, they changed the name to the National Council of Churches. Do I have to tell you more about how this National Council of Churches is deliberately destroying faith in Christianity? I don't think so. But this I will tell you. If you are a member of any congregation whose pastor and church are members of this Judas organization, your contributions are helping the Illuminati's plot to destroy religion and your faith in God and Jesus Christ. Thus, you are deliberately delivering your children to be indoctrinated with disbelief in God and church, and which can easily transform them into atheists. Find out immediately if your church is a member of the National Council of Churches, and for the love of God and your children, if it is, withdraw from it at once. However, let me warn you, that same destroy religion process has been infiltrated into other denominations. As a matter of fact, the Mormon Church is about the only one I know of that is clean of that kind of Judas infiltration. But of course, there are many individual churches and pastors who are honest and sincere. Find one such for yourself and for your children.
And so you see a second reason that Utah scared the one-worlders. By the time Myron made his warning to all Christians, most of our national telecommunication executives and their extended families were under Illuminati control as well. Remember that. So, Utah was a problem now for them for two reasons. Various plots were tried. Even Ted Bundy was sent to Utah, but he couldn't control himself. Do an internet search for Ted Bundy, George W. Bush, and see what comes up. Be sure to click the Images tab on your browser search, too.
I'm a busted.
But the real success began when High Wizard and longest-running U.S. Senator Robert C. Byrd ordered the satanic branch of the Cox family
Stop that.
to infiltrate the Mormon Church in 1979. Remember that Luciferians say that it's okay to join a Christian church just as long as you come back to Satan when he orders you to. Christians can be very naive at times. In fact, the Mormons have a warning in their additional scriptures. It reads something like this: "In the latter days, the devil will pacify and lull men away into carnal security, that they will say, All is well in Zion, yea, Zion prospereth, all is well. And thus the devil cheateth their souls, and leadeth them away carefully down into hell. And others he will flatter, Woe be unto him that is at ease in Zion. Woe be unto him that crieth, All is well. Cursed is he that puts his trust in man, or maketh flesh his strength, or shall hearken unto the precepts of men. unless those precepts shall be given by the power of the Holy Ghost. We'll let Senator Byrd's MK Ultra sex slave Kathy O'Brien tell us about this in her own words.
In 1977, I was a 19-year-old mind-controlled program slave in the CIA DIA Project Monarch Freedom Train operation, literally owned by U.S. Senate Majority Robert, who was then a 20-year incumbent on the Senate Appropriations Committee. As Byrd's own little witch or sex slave, I would also become involved in covert government operations. I now understand that this required more memory compartments and personalities than I had developed previously. Hence, one more reason for the mind-shattering occult ritual and my predestined marriage to a Cox. In typical Project Monarch structure, Byrd was my owner and in control of my life, while Cox became my primary handler and followed Byrd's orders to ensure that I was at key locations and events at appropriate times, and to maintain me under mind control. Cox was reportedly not paid cash for his role. Instead, he either followed orders or would be prosecuted for distributing drugs and being the occult serial killer that he was. Cox's primary role was to shatter my mind further through repeated occult trauma, as well as father my daughter Kelly to be raised in the genetic mind control studies of Project Monarch. The Cox were Illuminati. I was sent to Nashville and ordered to Cox, who took me to the back of his hometown for months at a time for occult traumatization. My Cox had been brought up in witchcraft by his mother, and admittedly he longed for her sexually and ritualistically. Together they subjected me to their beliefs, which included what equates to a weekend version of mind control, just by witches for centuries, anchored in superstition rather than in scientific fact. These superstitious beliefs seemingly conflicted with Cox's mercenary training, to the point that his killing raged out of control. For example, Cox would murder a human through repeated stabbings with a knife, believing that the departed spirit and splattered blood gave him power in order to control my mind. In truth, it was my aversion and subsequent traumatization by these events that caused me to disassociate and trance, leaving my subconscious open to his suggestions and the suggestions of others. During the 3 years I was with Cox, he ritually impregnated and aborted me 6 times. Consuming several of his own offspring and preserving the others, shaped in ceramic for sale in his interstate occult body parts business. Cox's MO for murdering always included removing the hands with a machete as the hands of glory. These he would kiln dry in the ceramic shop of his and his mother's house. These were in high demand and thus distributed throughout the occult underground supply network. As a member of the occult, Cox's drug and body parts distribution routes were protected for him. These included routes into Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Florida. Cox and I traveled to Florida on several occasions, as his mother's parents lived in Mims, which is only minutes away from the NASA Kennedy Space Center in Titusville. Cox made sure that I was there for mind control programming and testing as ordered. I was left there at the NASA installation many times for torture and programming. Cox had a variety of belief systems that he applied to various situations, all of which were superstition-based. He believed in spirit communication or divine guidance through nature spirits and demons, and that Satan had to be appeased. He believed that Jesus is an alien, and the Bermuda Triangle is a door to another dimension, and the end of the world is very near. We were ordered to become Mormons.
Kathy will have more to say to us later on many subjects, and we applaud her bravery. Now, while not all Coxes are Satanists, the ones who are connect to the Illuminati Merovingian bloodline. They are regulars at the Bohemian Grove each July in California. Harold Cox, best buddy-bud of H.G. Wells, with Lady Cohen and Cecil Collins, helped Margaret Sanger start Planned Parenthood to lower the world's black population first, and then the Asians and Latinos next. It seems that none of these were Nazi white enough for their taste buds. Now, just as we have said before, with all Illuminati last names, it is unfair to connect every Cox to the Illuminati.
You're like a flower that grew out of a pot of dirt.
Jesus Christ gave us the clue. One must judge a cock.
In the woods there grew a tree, and a fine, fine tree was he.
No, that's not right. Stupid 5G radiation radiating my brain. One must judge a tree by its fruit.
And on that bed there was a girl, and on that girl there was a man, and from that man there was a seed, and from that seed there was a boy, and from that boy there was a man, and for that man there was a grave, and from that grave there grew a tree.
So we have to look at a cock objectively and judge its fruit to see where a dark one might pop up.
Remarkably, Barack Obama himself has repeatedly slipped up and called her Michael over and over again.
Men and women of the finest military in the world. Most of all, Michael and I.
Is anything scaring?
You know, well, when Michelle's mad.
Have you ever met a man who accidentally calls his wife by a man's name?
Spencer Cox is a former telecom executive who always seems like he's auditioning for the title of America's guiltiest white guy. He's beyond belief. Watch this virtual town hall with high school students last year, in which Spencer Cox announces his preferred pronouns to a young girl in the audience.
Well, thank you so much, Gabby, for that question. And my preferred pronouns are he, him, and his. So thank you for sharing yours with me.
Ooh, what a creepy guy. My preferred pronouns are he, him, his, Cox tells a room full of children. So we've got that cleared up. Spencer Cox identifies as a male, at least to some limited extent. Now, Fox could have cleared up that mystery a lot more quickly simply by declaring, I'm a man. Instead, he went full hostage video. My preferred pronouns are he, him, his. Just in case you had any doubt that neoliberal interest groups control Spencer Cox's brain. Now you know for certain. Because it's never about gender, it's always about obedience. Spencer Cox is obedient.
Good boy. And a good boy obeys.
If nothing else, but not obedient to his voters. That's the weird thing. What exactly is the market for superfluous pronouns in Utah? Pretty limited, you would think. Most people in Utah don't need to be told. Yet somehow Spencer Cox is their governor. In a piece today, a really good piece, Nate Hochman of National Review reports that the very first document Cox signed as governor of Utah was something called the Utah Compact on Racial Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And it's everything you'd imagine and more. The document describes racism as, quote, more than just an individual character flaw. No, racism instead is a system that you participate in, Mr. and Mrs. Racist, a system that can only be stopped with, quote, bold anti-racist actions and policies right now. Ooh, you know you're in trouble, Mr. and Mrs. Utah voter. What are these policies? We'll let Spencer Cox explain. Here is Spencer Cox wearing his little obedience mask during a Zoom interview, explaining that he supports excluding white students from an academic scholarship program purely because of their skin color, because that's anti-racism. No, it's not racism. It's anti-racism.
The Utah Jazz is excluding white children from consideration for their scholarship program. Do you think this is racist? And what will you do to prevent the Utah Jazz from acting in this racist manner?
Well, I don't think it's racist. In fact, I think it's in response to, unfortunately, some very difficult and racist injustices that have happened in our community for a long time.
So here's this moist little guy sitting alone in his gilded room with a mask on telling us it's not racist to exclude people from a scholarship based on their race. Does anyone else in Utah believe this? We'd like to meet them. There can't be many of them. Most people in Utah have more sense than that. Racism is when you hurt people based on their skin color, right? Right. And most people in Utah, by the way, still believe in biology, also gravity and photosynthesis. The state of Utah is pro-science. And we know this because Utah state legislature just passed a bill banning men from competing in women's sports because men, it turns out, are not women. But Spencer Cox disagrees. He vetoed that bill. Fortunately, 2/3 of the legislature overrode Spencer Cox's veto and finally got the bill passed. This has been going on for a long time in the state of Utah. Spencer Cox previously threatened to veto a proposed ban on gender transition surgeries for minors, which, once again, most people in Utah say they don't want. So here you have a perfectly normal state filled with perfectly happy, normal people, somehow run by a low IQ weekend MSNBC anchor. That doesn't seem fair to the state of Utah, but it's not just Spencer Cox. Utah's junior senator, Mitt Romney, has also decided he's tired of representing the people of Utah. So instead, he's speaking for his neighbors in the state of California, where he lives a lot of the time. Less than a year ago, this is an amazing example, it was just June of 2021, Mitt Romney voted against the nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Okay, he thought she wasn't qualified. Now, this week, Mitt Romney announced that he is supporting the same person's confirmation to the Supreme Court. Huh? She was unqualified for a lower court, but a perfect choice for the Supreme Court? How does that work? Here's Mitt Romney to explain.
In the prior confirmation, I was concerned that she was outside the mainstream. And as a result of our meeting for an hour together and reviewing her testimony before Congress, I became convinced that she's within the mainstream. She's also highly qualified, intelligent, capable person, and I wish her the very best.
Oh, so she's now in the mainstream. She wasn't less than a year ago, but now she's fully in the mainstream. So here's what it took for Mitt Romney to finally support Ketanji Brown Jackson. He learned in the course of Supreme Court confirmation hearings that she gave lenient sentences to child pornographers. Mitt Romney apparently didn't know that last year, hence the vote against her. Now that he knows that Ketanji Brown Jackson has disregarded sentencing guidelines to benefit kiddie pornographers, it's a yes from Mitt Romney.
What Tucker doesn't know or didn't want to say here is that the state of Michigan, where Mitt grew up and was a young man, was the major production location for kiddie porn in the entire United States. Do an internet search for Mitt Romney MK Ultra program.
Oh, but most of all, for butterfly kisses after bedtime prayer.
Assuming it hasn't all been scrubbed from the internet. We'll have more on this, but for now, we'll let Tucker continue.
That's the junior senator from the state of Utah. And as with Spencer Cox, this is not a one-time aberration. Reporter Greg Price summarized Mitt Romney's past few weeks this way, quote, confirmed Ketanji Brown Jackson, voted against repealing TSA mask mandate, didn't show up to vote defunding Biden vaccine mandate, accuses Tulsi Gabbard of treason for opposing the war in Ukraine. Amazing! Mitt Romney is not alone, of course, neither Spencer Cox. It turns out a lot of Republicans in red states serially betray their voters, give them the finger day after day after day. The question is, how long will Republican voters put up with this?
Since Senator Byrd gave Utah the bird when he ordered the satanic Coxes to take over Utah, does this answer Tucker's question? Since Utah got the big cock, things have gotten worse. What most Utards don't understand is that Spencer plans to meter and steal all the state's water rights and use them to control all development in the state. Somehow he strong-armed the LDS Church into turning over, apparently for free, thousands of shares of their water rights obtained for the whole church body by their pioneer ancestors. Now they belong to the state. Water is life in the desert. If Spency gets all the water rights, even your ditch water rights, which he plans to also meter, the next plan is to use those to control and force development in the state into the Illuminati 15-minute cities. We have just told you the truth. Believe it or not. Recently, the Republican Party tried to remove Cox from the ballot since he didn't win his party's nomination. But since current Utah law, since Cox, has the conflict of interest that the lieutenant governor of their state runs the election for the governor and the lieutenant governor, and the executive branch of Utah is a bloated imperial dictatorship, and twice now, Cox has refused to let anyone see the election results, and in some counties over 100% of the population voted. This could go on and on for quite a long time, because Utards are asleep. So, while some cocks are really big, others only think they are. Utards need to get some balls and fast, or they will find out that the homesteads laid out for them by their pioneer ancestors, and all the rights given to them in blood by their forefathers in the Constitution, will amount to little more than... We hope that Utah can pull back the curtain.
I am Oz, the great and powerful. Who are you? Who are you?
Change the scene, or at least unzip the fly and have a good look at the cocks behind the zipper.
Stop that.
Back through the water curtain. The Cox family likes to pretend that their surname means a variety of many lofty things. You will find that the list is as long as 15 different theories. This is because they don't want you to know that anciently a Cox was a servant to an elitist master. In Old English, the boy that managed his master's stables, for example, was called the hitchcock. There are many others: adcock, badcock, peacock, piecock, simcock, woodcock, and more. The idea in time of a rooster being a cock is an ancient pagan concept. If an older man wanted to have sex with a younger boy legally, he could do it and then give him a rooster or a cock for his cock as a gift, making the act legal. The modern remnant of this still remains when you take a cock and circle it about your head, as the Khazarian Mafia still does today. Further, just as a young stable slave would wake up each morning to the cock crowing in praise of the rising sun, so would the boy's own cock stand in salute. The ancient Egyptian priests would stand and face the sun, letting their own cocks Sieg Heil, which incidentally is the real secret behind the Hitler salute, and the words Sieg Heil, which means hail the rising sun. So now you know more than you did before.
It's great to learn, because knowledge is power.
Luciferian magic is really quite stupid when you finally understand it. But the real question for Utah is just which bringer of light does Cox's cock salute? We will yet explore other states and cultures in their turn. More to come.
There's something going on around here that just don't add up.
You gotta keep on your toes. Toes, that is.
Rationale for fair use of copyrighted items used. Fair use law allows fair use when copyrighted material is being used to make a specific educational, research-based, scholarly, and/or critical comment on the work being used.
You shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Masters Mahan will continue.